What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell. Leave a comment. Let me know y'all thoughts on the content we present, man. I appreciate y'all jumping on board this evening for our fifth episode of Hurricanes Unfiltered Weekly live. Appreciate everyone who jumped on board. We will do this continuously every Monday night, 9 p.m. And I think we're probably going to continue to do this thing even during basketball season. Um, and probably throughout the year, and we'll cover all kinds of topics. And probably be a little bit shorter when we're not in football season, but we're gonna have plenty to talk about throughout the year. And I appreciate y'all continued support of the channel, man, as we continue to grow our Hurricanes Unfiltered content. Let's jump right in. Oh yeah, but before we do that, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell. Leave a comment. And remember, we do have merch. Hurricanes Unfiltered merch. This is embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. These are heavy duty shirts right here. We also have polos and the like. So if you want, you can go check it out at our website. Our website is come on now podcast.com. Come on now podcast.com. So jump on over right there at let me put it up there. I'll put it on the screen so y'all don't forget. Why isn't that backing up? Um let's see here. Let me get this. What's going on? This isn't working right now. I don't understand this. Why isn't my keyboard working? So yeah, go over to our website, come on now podcast.com. Come on now podcast. You can go right to the site and I will show it to you right here before we jump on over. And I'll show you exactly where you go. You can get your merch. We have polos, we have hoodies, we have women's clothing, men's clothing. This is the embroidered stuff. We have screen printed stuff as well. So I do appreciate y'all support of the channel. If you just jump right on over here and you can check out the screen right here, bringing it in for y'all to take a look at. Boom. Remove. Sorry, that's what we're doing now. Check out the merch store right here where it says merch up top. You go over here, click on Hurricanes Unfiltered. I don't know why it's not scrolling for y'all, but right below you'll see Hurricanes Unfiltered, and it will be right there. Why isn't that? It is not showing. That's weird. Let's bring it back up. See if there's some. Oh yeah, that's. I know why. My bad. I know why, because it opens up to a new window. So if you go right here, it'll open up. When you click on the merch store, it brings you to a separate link. You see right here, Hurricanes Unfiltered Collection. Click right here, man. You got t-shirts, you got polos, the cap that I'm wearing right now. It's very high quality. Hoodie, even women's merch. You got this in different colors, black and white. I tell you what, appreciate y'all support, man, and I thank y'all for continuing to support the channel. So let's just jump right into this video right here while we have
Every
uh, okay. Right here while we have it, let's jump into this thing right here. Mario Cristobal spoke with the media today. He gave his thoughts on the game and so forth. And we're gonna listen to this interview. I heard it in pieces, so I'm gonna be watching it along really more fresh because recorded it and then I wanted to watch it kind of raw. And let's listen to what he had to say, and I'll comment as we go. Let's jump in.
getting back to work today after I know we caught up a little bit on Saturday, but after a disappointing afternoon, and again, really good to get back to work today to prepare for a really good Syracuse team coming into town.
Sweet flipping Jesus, man. I'm not even like a really good Syracuse team. This man on crack. Like, you smoke crack, don't you? Like, I'm gonna go lean on me, Joel Clark from Lean on Me in like 1987. You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you? It kills your brain cells, son. It kills your brain cells, son. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. You just said that Syracuse is a very good team. A very good team. Syracuse is a very good team. Get the hell out of here. I don't want to hear this type of nonsense. They are not a very good team. They're actually a very bad team that has lost 5 straight games and has lost 38-3, 31-18 to SMU. 38-3 to Duke, 30-13 to Pittsburgh, 41-16 to Georgia Tech, and 27-10 to North Carolina. They started a quarterback literally last weekend who's never really played football on the collegiate level. He's a walk-on from the flipping lacrosse team. Like, are we just making stuff up as we go? We cannot be, and he's a freshman, no less. Like, what are we talking about here? Can you stop the cap? He threw for 39 yards last week against North Carolina. 39 yards, people. 39. And this guy is sitting here saying that like you can't make this up. Very good team. They're not. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And there's a reason that we're a 30-point favorite in this game. We are at what, 29, 28.5-point favorite. A number that I expect us to cover, by the way. So let's continue. Goodness, very good team. My tail, bro.
This weekend, giving us an opportunity to get back to playing Hurricane football. So, that being said, questions, please.
Mario, Syracuse, some mild shakeups to their coaching staff today. Does that, when a team does that mid-season, just moving around some position coaches and things like that, teams don't change who they are, but does it add a wrinkle for preparation?
I think it does. I think that every week we've seen wrinkles with the opponents that we play. So, we do a lot of good on good with our team because that way our guys just get to see things that are outside of what the opponents have shown on film and make the calls and adjustments necessary to try to, again, play every play to the best of our ability. So I'm sure there'll be something. What it's going to be, we certainly don't know.
Go back to Saturday, if you don't mind. I know it's delicate because it never comes down to one play, but have you asked the conference for clarity on roughing the passer, the holding call, the last play? I mean, there was a lot of things I think that you could be upset with. Have you asked the conference for clarity on that? And if so, have you heard anything back?
We have not heard back yet. There was a combination of holding, pass interference picked up, and whatnot. So we're looking for answers on that, and certainly eagerly awaiting what the response is, as well as the roughing the passer one, which certainly don't agree with. But at this point in time, the best we can do is turn it in and hope for a better result next time, but have not received an answer yet.
What's your view on the overturned fumble, what you saw on film?
I mean, it's we saw what we saw. We thought it was, and we saw what we saw. We felt that if it has to be inconclusive, I don't know if that was there to overturn a call, but it was. Certainly, we didn't have things go our way, and when you go on the road, the best thing you can do is not leave it in the hands of the officials, right? So, but yeah, that one was certainly something that makes things different.
That one actually, that's one I actually agree with. That one, don't know how they overturned that. That one bugged me. I don't, like I said, I don't complain about officiating a lot. I don't really like to let officiating get in the way of stuff. And it didn't cost Miami the game. So let me say that once again. It didn't cost. I don't like people making comments like something cost somebody the game or whatever. It didn't cost Miami the game, but that play was a fumble. It's called a fumble on the field. There was nothing that I saw that would flip that. There's nothing that I saw that would say that that was an incomplete. And they ruled quickly on that one. That one, because they showed the background, that was a quick review. I don't agree with that. I thought that you leave that one alone. That was a fumble. Miami recovered it. That would have been a huge play. Does it mean that Miami would have scored? I mean, that's the thing. Unless we returned it for a touchdown, does it mean that we would have scored? With the offense that we put out there, maybe we get 3 points. And if we did that, then I guess we would have won the game. But it doesn't mean we would have scored. Or we would have committed a couple of holding penalties and taken ourselves out of field goal range. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was a terrible, terrible reversal. Let's continue. And here's the thing. With that, I'd want him to be upset in a post-game press conference. That one, I would want to hear him really upset in a post-game presser.
Mario, you talked in the past about how, later you get into the season, teams get more and more film on other teams. Have you, I guess, you and the rest of the staff want to talk about maybe new wrinkles to add, things you can change up to maybe avoid teams being able to dial in on some of the tendencies you guys have had?
We always do. every single week. That's always at the forefront. Sunday starts with an evaluation of the game, a grading of the game, and then a self-scout session to make sure that anything we've done formationally, anything that we've done from a schematic standpoint has some type of eye wash, a wrinkle, a compliment, so that teams can't get a beat on what we're doing, you know. And I think there was progress offensively in some of that stuff. We certainly pushed the ball down the field better. We rushed the ball better against a team that had been really good against the run this season. So that's always at the forefront of what we do, and I think that some of it had some progress on Saturday.
Mario, injuries of Mark, CJ, OJ, Ahmad, how are they all doing?
Yeah, Mark was injured. Okay, we will. It doesn't look like he will be available, but I don't know that yet. Okay, OJ, you had mentioned OJ. OJ will be out for a couple of weeks. Who was the other one you had mentioned?
CJ Daniels and Ahmad Milton.
CJ will be out for a couple of weeks. Ahmad Moten is more, I would say, I would put him, I don't know what the categories exactly, I forget, but I would put as one of those 50-50s. Okay, but that's where we are from an injury standpoint as of today. We really felt that those other guys had a chance, and certainly, you know, we hedge on the side of optimism when we get word from the doctors, and when a doctor rules a guy in or out, that's when we go ahead and provide the information. That's where we're at with the information there now.
You've talked about in the past about the importance of not having performance anxiety and the need to play fast. Lately, on the offensive side in particular, do you see any signs of that?
I see pre-snap stuff. You know, we had good play early in the season, and then we regressed a little bit. And then in the second half of the Stanford game, felt like we started getting back on track. And then we regressed with pre-snap issues this game. Now, between snap to whistle, there was a lot of good play. We drove the ball down the field at a good clip. We had more big plays of over 15 yards or so. We piled up a good amount of first downs. We didn't do well in the red zone, and we didn't do well in short yards. Two areas where we had been, you know, tops in the conference at. And I think that's where our issues were this game. The drives that we didn't finish were execution related. I think we had 5 drops. We overcame the illegal procedures in terms of sustaining a drive. We didn't overcome the drops. Okay, and that's, when I say drops, that's not a player. That's coaching, that's teaching, that's practice. We take that on all of us. So that is a summation of assessing exactly where our drives continued and where they stopped. Time of possession was good. Number of first downs were good. Third down was almost at 50%. We didn't finish drives. And that's certainly where the margin, you know, we didn't get it to go in our favor.
First, the question of performance anxiety. That's why I was laughing because, you know, men have all been in that performance anxiety experience at some point. Typically, as I don't know, early on, typically when you're nervous. I thought that was, I like the question, the performance anxiety. Um, I think they're tight. I think the players are tight, and I think the players are tight because I don't think he trusts them, and I think they all know it, and that's the big problem. Is that they know he doesn't trust them largely, and it shows in how they play. I think Carson Beck is the main guy who doesn't feel like he's trusted by Mario and the staff, Mario primarily, and it shows in his frustration that he had in the game, especially in certain situations, even his comments after the game, he's frustrated and you can see it. And I think that he feels like, and I'm not a psychologist, but the body language, the reactions, you can. I mean, this is a guy that was a good quarterback. Whether you didn't like him or not, I don't care, bro. He was a really good quarterback 2 years ago at Georgia. And one of the areas that he hasn't had for the last 2 years is a safety valve tight end. He didn't have one last year at Georgia. He doesn't have one here, and it shows. And his valve is a wide receiver, and that's Malachi Tony. The problem is Malachi Tony runs screenplays a lot, swing passes. That's not a safety valve. That's a play call. Safety valve stuff is coming when you're in trouble and you find your tight end because your tight end is going to body somebody out and make a play. You know that you throw that ball to your tight end, he's going to find a way to get open, and then on top of that, he's going to get himself in position that where you throw the ball anywhere near him, either he's going to catch it or no one's going to catch it. And that's missing. He mentions the drops. That's the one thing I completely disagree with him on. Drops are on players. I'm not blaming coaches for people dropping passes. I can't. I don't know how you can blame a coach for or coaches. I will not blame coaches for, and I'll blame coaches for like, you drop passes. That's on you, bro. I mean, Mark Fletcher dropped it on the first possession. It cost us an opportunity to move the ball. It literally did because we were short by like 2 yards on the completion that JoJo traded that made it 4th and 2 before we punted. Mark Fletcher's drop cost us 5-6 yards. Like it absolutely did. So you have a drop like that. You have the drop with Alex Bauman over the middle of the field. Maybe he gets a first down, maybe he doesn't. But you guarantee that he's not getting anything when he drops the ball. JoJo Trader's drop, obviously, that drop cost us 7 points the other direction on the next play. But I'll tell you what, if you look at that play again from the other angle, if JoJo Trader catches that ball, he might score a touchdown because there was no one beyond that safety that came over to try to make the pick, and he was going the opposite direction. That if JoJo comes down with the ball and just cuts in, that DB is coming the other direction. He goes right by him. He might score a touchdown. That might be a freaking 80-yard touchdown pass or whatever, however they were 90, maybe 90-yard, whatever they were. I don't even remember what yard line. They were like the 10 or 15. So you that play that like, those are big plays. Those are plays I can't blame coaches for. And who was the other drop that they had? Elijah Lofton drops a touchdown pass. Can't blame a coach for that. I don't care if the ball might have been thrown late. The ball was in his hands. He needs to just catch the ball, hit the ground. I mean, you watch wide receivers take bigger hits all the time catching passes. And you got to catch the ball. And there was one more. They had 5 drops in this game. 5 drops. That's and when you look at the 5 drops plus the holding calls, every time they committed a hold or had a drop, they punted. Every single time. So yeah, that's a problem. That's the problem. So, but yeah, performance anxiety, yeah, they have it because he doesn't trust them. No question about it, in my opinion.
It's the, I guess just the best way to ask would be the mood. I'm sure guys are down and disappointed, obviously, but there's a game in 5 days too, and there are still some opportunities, probably even most opportunities that you set out in front of this team. What is the mindset right now? How do you balance both the need to clean up a lot and improve versus not losing sight of the fact that there's still a great deal to play for this group?
Yeah, very professional approach today. I mean, we have, at the end of the day, we have good people. We have hardworking people, people that have a high care factor. And also people that recognize opportunity and know that the college football landscape and this thing down the stretch is as unpredictable as it gets, and that we will be one of a dozen or so teams that will have an opportunity, if you take care of business, to continue to push into the postseason. Now, all that is great, but I think we all understand that we have to take care of number one, and that's us. We were frustrated, but we're not helpless, if that makes sense, because all of our answers are in the room. The self-inflicted stuff we can control, and there's a strong commitment to doing so. And you didn't have to wait for players to step up and take charge and demand more of ourselves. And when I say that, I make sure that as a staff, that everything is joined at the hip, that everyone is pouring in to do more and do better by each other and for each other. They know that their best support group is right here in this building. Their biggest fans, their best family, the people that really want to see them succeed are right here in this building. And so they have a strong bond. They want to, I have zero doubts that this team wants to get to work and to play really, really good football because we've done it before. We stubbed ourselves right in the toe, and we're ready to go ahead. We're ready to forge forward and get to Saturday.
I'm gonna be real. I think we've only played one complete football game so far. We've only played one complete game, and that was the game against South Florida. Every other game that we played this year, I thought we played a really solid 3 quarters, 2.5 to 3 quarters against Notre Dame, and then we completely shit the bed. I mean, realistically, if you look back at that game, we played solid for 3 quarters, and then it was like you decided to take your foot off the gas, and that was frustrating. Yeah, I mean, 17 points in the fourth quarter for Notre Dame. For 3 quarters, we were really solid. Fourth quarter, we sucked. We sucked. Offense, we stopped trying to do anything until the final drive when we drove it down and kicked the field goal to win it. But before that, it was just very, very bland. I mean, the situation where we have the pick by Ruben Bain, and or was that after the pick from Ruben Bain? Whatever it was, when we only had to go we got 4 plays, 8 yards, or well, I think that was the pick from Ruben Bain. Yeah, the pick that Ruben Bain had, and he returns it back to the Notre Dame 28, and we go 3 plays, 8 yards, and kick a field goal. Like that's playing passive football. That's playing a not aggressive approach to football. And so again, when you look at the games, the only game that I'd say that we played a complete game in from start to finish was South Florida. Florida, all kinds of errors in that game. We should have won that game by 4 touchdowns. Florida State, we're up 28-3 going into the fourth quarter, and we completely turn everything off. And if I look back at any part of this season and see where the things have changed, it was the fourth quarter against Florida State. The fourth quarter against Florida State really exposed us, and it exposed holes. It exposed a mentality that's not useful in winning. It's a mentality that we cannot have if we're going to want to win games. It doesn't work. So, and I don't know if that carried over into that game against Louisville or not, but it seems like that fourth quarter has kind of carried over into everything that the Canes have done over the past 3 games. Louisville, even Stanford. That first half was an abomination. And obviously this last loss. So solid football. Yeah, if I can bring me back to the South Florida game, that's solid football. Let's continue.
The tape of the overtime performance on defense. Was the effort up to the standard you want?
They had a couple of plays that hit well. If you don't get a stop, it's never up to the standard. But certainly, we know we need to do better.
Josiah Trader was 4 for 84 in the first quarter. He was the hot hand.
One more time.
Josiah Trader was 4 for 84 in the first quarter. He was the hot hand, having a day. Then he dropped the ball. Did that attribute to him only receiving one more target for the rest of the game? And if not, what was the reason he only had one more target for the rest of the game?
JoJo Trader?
Yes.
Okay, so JoJo came out, played a really good first, second drive, right? Had a big touchdown catch. Had another big catch, right? Had the one that got away, ended up being a turnover and a touchdown for the other team. There's a lot of stuff to be excited about. And then some stuff to correct in terms of why he only had one more target. The coverage dictates where the ball is going to go. I believe he played 58, 59 plays. If I'm not mistaken, you would have the rep count if you can get that to our people here. So he wasn't limited in any other way except that if the defense took something away, then the ball would not find them.
Justin Scott and Donta Simpson.
I'm sorry. I can't get on that, bro. No, I can't. That's like saying that you Woosah. That's like saying when you hand the ball off in a running play, the guy who's playing running back ain't gonna get the ball. I mean, I don't care if he played 59 snaps. He was largely invisible after that interception. So maybe he's on the field, but good Lord, I don't think any one of us seemed to know that he was on the field. Because you sure as shit call plays for Malachi Tony on these swings. You do. I don't know. So you're telling me that all of a sudden SMU is shading coverage over to JoJo Trader his first real action this season, and they're shading the coverage to JoJo Trader. No, they were shading coverage to Tony the entire game. But yet somehow we got him the ball 6 times in the air. No, I'm sorry, 9 catches. He had 9 catches. Somehow he had 9 catches for 70 yards. But you didn't find JoJo the rest of the game pretty much until late, really, really, really late in that game. Like that crap is ridiculous, man. I don't want to hear that. That's nonsense. I'm not with that. I'm not with that. That does not. I don't like that type. The coverage again. Once again, coverage, and the other team is dictating what we're doing. Like this is crazy.
And getting some extra playing time with Ahmad out last week. Just how do you feel about those two younger guys taking advantage of programs?
Progress, think a lot like JoJo. You saw some things that you get you really excited, and then you also see the opportunities of areas of improvement. Young players, talented players. That position requires a ton of just being callous, right? Being tough, being gritty, and those are the areas that I think those two guys will continue to improve in. But I think overall, them getting in there and giving us quality snaps certainly it eased some of the brunt of not having Ahmad in there. Ahmad has been playing at a high level. He had, and the combination of him and David Blay have been a big reason why we have been so good against the run. So we're going to continue working with those guys as well as Dalen Russell, who has shown a lot of improvement, and get the very most out of those guys and expect a great future for both of them.
With the pre-snap penalties, I guess how do you go about? Cause it's been a problem kind of throughout the year, and I know you've mentioned teams simulating cadences or stemming and stuff like that to get you guys to jump. 2/3 of the way through the season, I guess what do you do to fix that? Is it just simulating it more in practice? Like how do you go about fixing that?
Well, I think you know me well enough. We dive in hard, man. Everything that doesn't go well, because it's the only way to approach football in life, right? You have to adapt. You have to get better. And it hasn't been good enough. And you know what? Early on, it was good. And when something goes well, you try to make it better and roll with it. And we've reached a point in time where it's like we have tried, we have made the tweaks and adjustments, but it's not good enough. It's not, and it's hurt us, and we know that. So certainly there's some more adjustments coming to it, and there's confidence and faith that it's going to be better. And hopefully, I can say with confidence, you'll see a better result in that area because it's unacceptable. It's not good enough.
It's a question probably better directed to Shannon, but Malachi's doing things that 18-year-olds aren't doing in this country. He's just, he's going to rewrite the freshman record book here the way he's going and all that. Is there almost a temptation to feed him more?
Well, I think what you saw on Saturday was that attempt, but you also saw what teams will start doing. Bracket coverage, right? Trail coverage, right? Making sure that everything is kept in front. And therefore you see guys like Keelan Marion, come up with the type of day that he had. He had a really, really good day. You see JoJo Trader get himself a couple of big catches. You see the ball being sprayed around a little bit more. But Malachi attracted a lot of attention on Saturday. So I think, when we go into a game, we always think players over plays. I think we have to also acknowledge that defenses are going to think stop certain players over certain plays. So if you watch us offensively, there's left and right receivers, but there's also receivers lining up in the slot. There's guys lining up in the backfield. We move guys around in order to just try to create eye wash, a different look, a different presentation, create a different matchup, And so we have been doing that with the guys that have been really, really productive. Malachi is one of them, but he is attracting a lot of attention, and we expect that to keep happening. So it's a great opportunity for the run game to get better, for the other guys at receiver to keep just having some productive days, so that coverage has to be a little bit more evened out and give ourselves more opportunity to just push the ball up the field.
Speaking of Malachi Tony, they're gonna have to figure out ways to get him the ball in different ways. It can't continue to be these ridiculous swing passes, these ridiculous screens. They have to find ways to get him the ball. And whether it's motions in the backfield or what have you, send him down the field. Like whether you bracket, you can bracket him all day. If they're going to bracket him, then someone else is going to be open. But you also have to find a way to get him the ball. And you can't make excuses for why you can't get him the ball. Playmakers get the ball. Playmakers make plays. Throw him the ball. You have to create plays to get him the ball. It's not overly complicated. And I think they make things sound more complicated than they need to be. Find a way to get him the ball. It's not, again, line him up in the backfield, run him on a wheel route. Can you imagine him lined up with a linebacker? It's barbecue chicken. Run him up a seam, barbecue chicken. Like crossers, where he continues to go straight across. It's chicken, bro. You're running the same crap for him, and that's why it's becoming more. It's being covered. Yet he still had 9 catches, but only had 7.5 yards a catch. So figure out other ways, man. That's your job.
I mean, I can't believe it's November. You know, 2/3 of the regular season's gone already. It is, where's the point where practices change? Where, 'cause I know you still like doing a lot of the hard stuff, but where's the point where you decel a little correct?
Well, they change throughout the year. We like to think of it as in terms of, I would say, 3-week cohorts, right? Camp is camp, and you roll from camp into the beginning of the season. And it stays very similar, except there's more opponent work involved. And then after game 3, then you start really tweaking Monday to take some off of the legs. And so you have a more fresh team on Saturday. After week 6, you really start tweaking maybe some of the periods. It could be the group period and some of the block destruction stuff we do. It could be some of the good on good stuff we do, right? And then again, after week 9, there's another time where maybe you take a period and make it a walkthrough instead of a full throttle period. So you look at everything involving player load, workload, repetition, the health of the team, and you make sure that you do everything possible to make your team physically stronger, because it will be reflected in the GPS. How hard you could run, how fast you could run, how much of like true acceleration and decels you have. And those numbers have come out, they've come back showing a very favorable result. So we're always trying to do that. We're always searching from different teams, both pro and college, what are the tweaks that you make to your roster? What are the tweaks you make to practice schedule as the year goes on? Because nowadays, especially with the roster being locked on what it is, you have to bring in a pro aspect model, because they can bring in a new guy, right? They could access people, bring them in. We can't. They might have 65, but they cycle through about 125 guys a year, right? And 125 healthy bodies. We have 125 to start. At the end, you don't have anywhere near that. So that's the challenge right now.
Come on now. NFL teams don't cycle through 125 players on a 53-man roster. I don't. No, don't give me that. They don't cycle through 125 guys for a 53-man roster. You're telling me that they're making 75 moves in a season for new player? Come on, Mario. Like that's not that literally presumes that your entire roster is getting injured. Like maybe they're getting up to 75 or 80, but I don't want to believe that they're getting up to 125. Like stop. I no. Mm-mm. Now I do believe that you need to figure out how to practice as the season goes on. You might need to make adjustments to how you approach practice, because practice you you need to work on basics, but you obviously can't hit as much, if at all. I don't even know if they hit anymore. And so there are things you need to be careful about, and I mean I saw this on a podcast today. Is there concern that maybe they're worn out by the end of the week because of the way they may practice? I mean, goodness gracious, if you said that crap 30 years ago, people would laugh at you, but maybe that's the case because a lot of these guys are just it's much softer in this world nowadays, you know what I mean?
You mentioned the availability of Mark maybe being up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, What is the opportunity for Marty and Jordan mean this week, and what would you like to see from them?
Would like to see us continue to improve in the run game. I think those guys are really good players. We've seen them play good football. I think it's an opportunity for Gerard Pringle, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey. I think it's an opportunity for all those guys. But certainly, Mark is a special player for us. He has set the tone a bunch, but we've seen really good play from both Marty and from Jordan, and we expect those guys to play really good football. They're ready.
I want to see Gerard Pringle get in the game and be put in the game when it matters. He's a speed demon, 4.3 speed. I want that guy in the field. I want him to get the ball in space. Give him a screen pass. Give him a screen pass. Get the ball in space. Give him a pitch. Get him the ball in space. He's a playmaker, man. You need to keep this guy. You need to keep guys like this, bro. Like seriously. Get that dude in the game.
As an extension of the calendar moving forward, you got the transfer portal window coming earlier this year, which involves personnel decisions on this team. The guys that have not been playing, do you have scrimmages in practice to try to see them in live action that will help you make determinations on the personnel decisions you have to
Well,
make?
we won't scrimmage during the year. We're not going to, just at the risk of losing bodies and injuries, we won't scrimmage. Do we see them on a daily basis in competitive situations? We do, in the form of one-on-ones, 7-on-7, good on good, and then we also have our service periods where a lot of the 2s and 3s will simulate the opponent for the ones with the entire coaching staff on one field. What does that do? That gives everybody a better look on the opponent, but it also gives our 2s and our 3s an opportunity to run a lot of plays that we run against our very, very best players. So it is an evaluation system. You have to get it right this time because there's only one portal window. So if you get it right, it could be a home run. If you don't get it right, you could find yourself scrambling, right, once that portal window closes and the players have been signed. So we feel really good about the way we've recruited and the way that we're structured and layered going into the future, and that's always taken into account. And obviously those conversations are always ongoing, and some of the more, serious ones will be coming up in the next couple of weeks or so.
Kind of an oddball, off-topic question for you, but basketball starts tonight, obviously. Tricia has 2 kids back. Jay has zero returning players from last year. Can you imagine starting 18 literally from a blank sheet of paper? Could you imagine what that's like to go through that?
Yeah, I think you have to now. I think the reality is that, and who knows what this is going to bring, right? Until there's a cap in their structure and professionalism or a professionalized system. I think you have to be prepared to coach a one-year team every single year. And so I don't think it involves changing principles and values or whatnot. It just, the adaptability of really figuring out what you have, what the capabilities are, what the internals are of each and every person who's on your roster and on your staff. You have to expedite that process because you're counting on each other, right, to make a push and go win, right, at a high level. So I think all that, it's microwaved is what it is. And you have to be really just, I would say, hyperly astute. I mean, you have to really take in a lot of information, be very aware, have your blind spots covered, and always just do your best by people. That always pays back, right, dividends in a big time way.
In a similar vein, just compared to when you were coaching 10, 15 years ago with the transfer portal and everything, you said kind of coaching almost like a one-year team every year. Has that changed, I guess, the relationship and the conversations you're having with players throughout the course of the season?
One thing that I'm surprised at is that the ability to find transfers that you hit it off with. I think it was frightening at first for all coaches, thinking, okay, transfer portal, man, who wants to sign guys that are transferring? And then you quickly find out that, sometimes, change just provides a whole different mindset, mentality, opportunity for someone, and they're really grateful for it. We're very, very high on the guys that have come in from the transfer portal. I mean, these guys they're really good players. They're really good human beings. They're hard workers. They're competitors. And one of the most important attributes that no one talks about, they're grateful. They're grateful, and that's like the words please and thank you are very important to them. The extent to which a sports science worker and a weight room, you know, coach goes to make sure that their bodies are feeling right, that they're getting extra work on mobility, stretching, nutrition, vitamin supplementation, whatever it may be. Those are things that maybe they didn't experience in another place. Personal relationships, which we take a deep dive into that, because make no mistake about it, we're very regimented. We are. Structure and discipline. People sometimes mistake the word discipline as harsh punishment, and it is not. Discipline is a way to get everyone to get the best out of themselves by not compromising the principles and values of being a really high impact person. But along with that comes the high level relationships as well. And I think that's what we've seen in this wave of transfers. And I think I went around your question without answering it. I don't know if I did, but it is critical that every ounce of time you could spend with your guys to get to know really why they're here and that they align with the principles of the program is really important.
Mario, just in general, just why do you think this team isn't playing its best football this time of year with everything that's on the line?
Mm-hmm.
And what needs to change this final month to do so?
Yeah, the details have been the big difference. We have lost in the margins of the game, right? The short yardage opportunities that we came up short in. That's everything. That's coaching and playing. Some of the penalties that I've heard are drives, not let us finish our drives. That's coaching and playing. A communication lapse, and these are opportunities that when you're playing conference football, you don't get them back. You don't. Is it a lack of effort? Absolutely not. I think it's very evident this team's always going to fight all the way up to the very end, no matter what. But the margins we were winning in early in the season, in a couple of games this year, we have slipped up on those. Devil's in the details, and we're going to work hard and find a way to get those details back and play Hurricane football and get it done.
All right. Anything else, Coach? Great. Thank you, Coach.
Well, I hope that last part's true because we've got 4 games left and you got no choice. You can't lose another game. You're already in a position to where realistically your chances of making the playoffs are very, very slim. I would say probably between 5 and 10%, but they exist and there's going to be opportunities for the Hurricanes to perform, and it's up to them to get the job done. Remember last year when they lost 2 of their last 3 games. So there was a bit of and I'm trying to have a positive outlook on this situation, but you need to have a little bit of it because last year when we lost 2 of our last 3 games. This year, we have 4 games left. You have 4 opportunities to win 4 more games and leave a good taste in the mouth of the committee who will hopefully remember that you started off on fire, had a little bump in the road midway, and then you finished on fire. And I think that's the difference between last year is that we now have the opportunity to move back up in the rankings. The fact that we're ranked 18th in the country and not 23rd, which is where I thought we would possibly end up, just because of the anti-hurricane sentiment that is pervasive in media across the country. I just thought that we would drop further. The fact that we're only 18th actually is a good thing. It leaves the possibility for us to make a move because even if you look at this week coming up, BYU's playing Texas Tech. That's a humongous game. That's number 8 versus number 9. The loser of that game is going to drop probably 10 spots. And if it's a blowout, remember, look, Texas Tech jumped 4 spots this past week. If preferably BYU wins that game, then Texas Tech is going to be pretty much out of the conversation, more than likely. Not to mention Texas Tech will have had 2 losses in conference, which could almost more than likely eliminate them, albeit Cincinnati still got to play BYU later this year as well. So Texas Tech could be out of the conversation with a loss this week. You look at the fact that Ole Miss they're playing Citadel. Um, Texas is playing Georgia next week, so they have a bye week before they go to Georgia, and they still got Texas A&M on their schedule. They have 2 very tough games left. They're 13th. I think they're going to lose one of those games. I genuinely think they're going to lose one of those games, if not both of them. So if they lose both of those games, if they lose one, they're going to drop from 13 to 20, more than likely. So these are the opportunities that are going to exist. Louisville still has to play Clemson and SMU at SMU. We just experienced at SMU. So, and Clemson, while Clemson is not very good this year, we have seen that the ACC is funky. Like we've seen it funky. Georgia Tech still has to play against Pitt next in a couple of weeks. So that's a big game for Georgia Tech. So there's a lot of Oklahoma has a big game against Alabama next week, and then the week after they play Missouri. Then they play LSU. I'll never be cheering so hard for Bama in my life. I want Bama to bludgeon Oklahoma. Get them out of this conversation. So you're talking about all these teams. Vanderbilt still has to play Auburn this weekend. Auburn just fired their coach. They're going to come out passionately this weekend. Now, Vandy may still win, but they're going to still have to play Kentucky, and then they're going to play against at Tennessee to close the season. Could be a loss. You could see Vanderbilt drop. So there's all these possibilities. And the key component for Miami is to get back to what Mario's saying and finish strong. You finish with 4 straight wins. Pittsburgh, I talked about it on the live tonight. If Pittsburgh beats Georgia, was it? They play Notre Dame and is it Georgia Tech? They finish up with Georgia Tech and Notre Dame and Georgia Tech. So they have an off week this week, then they host Notre Dame next weekend. The week after they go to Georgia Tech, and then they host us. If Pittsburgh wins those 2 games, that game against Miami is going to be a massive game. And if Miami's 9-2 and Pitt's 9-2, I'm telling you right now, while Pitt might not be ranked right now, which I think is ridiculous because their quarterback who's playing quarterback for the last 5 weeks is 5-0 and really good. I'm telling you right now, Pitt will be ranked in the top 15, definitely top 20. And that's now a ranked game. And that now needs to be looked at as a big win for Miami, a potential 4th ranked win. Remember, last year we had 0 ranked wins. You give us 4 ranked wins at the time of the game, and Pitt will be coming off winning 9 straight games. We gotta hope that I believe we have to hope that I said earlier that we need Notre Dame to win. No, I think actually Pitt winning helps us more. I definitely think Pitt needs to split these next 2 games. Whether if they lose to Notre Dame, fine, but they got to beat Georgia Tech. Although I think Notre Dame is the more winnable game because it's on their home field. So there's opportunities for the Hurricanes there. If Pitt is a ranked team when Miami plays Pitt, that's another ranked win if you can get the job done. And now I think it becomes a lot harder to keep out a 10-2 Miami. Again, it's a small percentage. You can't lose. But I know it sounds crazy, but last year we had no after we lost to Syracuse. We're 10-2. That's it. We're done. We're done. We got 4 chances, 4 opportunities to go out and beat Syracuse this week, 55-0. Go out next week and play NC State, who just beat Georgia Tech, and go beat them 42-12 or something like that. Go whoop their ass. Go play the next week. Go to Blacksburg the week after and go beat Virginia Tech 42-17. And then you finish off with at Pittsburgh and go up there and you go bust their ass 38-13. Yo, people are like, oh shit, Miami's different now. You never know. So while I think a lot of Mario's talk is lip service, and until I see changes on the field and changes in game plan, I won't believe it. I won't drink the Kool-Aid anymore. I expect us to probably lose another game based on what I've seen, but maybe, possibly, they finally look at themselves in the mirror. He looks at himself in the mirror, at himself in the mirror, and he says, "We got to make a change." I can only hope. But that's all I got. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button. But calling Syracuse a fucking good team? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Miami doesn't beat Syracuse by 50. I'm gonna be pissed. Y'all leave y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered. Powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.